Well, I'll save that. Let me get all this stuff here. Well, I just throw this stuff on the floor. I really don't need these books. I guess I can introduce some of them and all. I'll tell you some books that I'm going to be dealing with. Number one, because a lot of things are now coming from the spiritual realm, thanks to a certain amount of spiritual talents here in Atlanta and all. Here in Atlanta. Based on what we do metaphysically, things are going to manifest even more with us, to the simple fact that those pyramids are built downtown are built to manifest any thoughts, ideas, and metaphysical things. So whatever we do, we can actually get juice based on those pyramids downtown in those buildings, because this is the New Atlantis, and that is coming from Syriac architecture. Few things. They got about 3. We're going to get some more, and this is Sirius Akenaton, king of Egypt, a king of Kemet. And there's some astonishing photographs in here. One of the photographs is, they were saying that Nefertiti was a mulatto, or they were saying that she was some Asiatic, but we know that the Asiatics would look about like me. There was no white people at that particular time in Kemet, in the world. They was still in barbarism, so when we talk about the Asiatics, in actuality we was talking about somebody my complexion would be considered the whole Asiatic world. There was no white people, so even though they have lightened her up, and I can pass some of these around, we can put it on the camera, if you can focus in. They have lightened her up a little bit here, but they made clear when I pass this picture around. This is a book by Akenaton, the Heretic King, by Donald B. Redford. When they have seriously shown you, even though they have lightened her up, because I think she would have been a little bit darker, they still showed you, if you see this real close to that, it's nothing but a sister. And when you look at it, you know that ain't nothing but a sister that's walking around here. Another picture of Nefertiti, when you look at this particular picture, you will know without a shadow of a doubt that you're dealing with a particular sister, because if you see right there, look at them thighs, and look at that booty right there. And I don't care if you are a white woman with a little bit of butt, you don't have no Hottentot booty like that. You know that couldn't be nothing but a sister. Like I said before, Akenaton was one of the brothers, because if you look at this picture real close, we're going to pass this around, but if you look at the picture real close, you know that Akenaton is a brother, because Akenaton is doing one thing on this picture. And they said at this particular time, it was never before seen in Kemet, but at this particular time, they started doing artwork that was a little more explicit. As you know, the white man tried to make something negative out of it, but what Akenaton was trying to show was the best male and female relationship ever. Number one relationship ever, and I'll just pass the book around, but I got some actual pictures that I wanted to pass out for those people, and for those first people, that you can just pass these pictures around to show you, there's this pictures of Nefertiti, to show you, if you can see that bunkie, you pass them around, just pass them around and show everybody. Now, there's another picture to let you know that Akenaton was a straight-up brother, because there's a picture of Akenaton that has Nefertiti sitting on his lap, chilling, sitting on his lap. So you know he had the first male and female relationship type thing going on, even though we know that we've been doing this for years. But this is the first depiction of it in the 18th dynasty. So you can pass this around and show it. Now, a lot of these pictures are coming from Akenaton, king of Egypt. That the guy who made the book Black Folks Here and There. What's the name of that guy? It's a book called Black Folks Here and There. Sinclair Drake. He said that one thing about Sirius Aldrich that died in 91, was that he tried to get the best depiction of what he could find to show that these were black people. So this was a good book to actually get, because when I saw this particular picture, I had to buy the book. But I want to show you this picture of a sister and her face. They always show you Queen T's face, and you say, well, you know that's a sister. But look at this particular sister and look at those full lips, and you would know that that is actually a sister. But you know, we don't want to waste too much time on the whole thing that we started out with the Aztec conference trying to prove that the Egyptians were black or the Kemites were black. We already know that. But this is a good book. It's in bold print, so you know how it is sometimes. You even read better when you got some big print to stare at. So this is a good book. I think this book is $19.95, but then again, on the other hand, we bought cases of beer for high more than that. So what? Check. So we want to deal with that. Another good book that we're going to come out of is this book called Tutankhamun. This is the hardback version, but you can get another version, I think, for like $9. Tutankhamun, Amenism, Atonism, Egyptian monotheism. This is a good book that we're going to come off of too. Another book, if you can get it, is an out-of-print book that deals with more of the mysteries of Aten that I'm going to get into today, and it's called The Son of the Sun by Severti Devi. So if you can get this particular book somewhere, fine. It's an out-of-print book. So we want to deal with that also. A couple of other things we're going to deal with, because we are hoping at this particular time that we're begging the American government to please go into Haiti. If they go into Haiti, we can have enough spiritual leverage to kick him in his ass and get him off the planet for good. So we're begging them, please go into Haiti, because the things we're going to come across now, if we do a certain amount of things, if all of us in here, now you know how we got a problem going and listening to speakers and walking out and doing nothing. Because we don't see things as happening in the material realm. We don't count it as being anything happening. That's because the white man has got this particular world locked up. So therefore, you cannot see yourself coming to liberation, because your liberation is going to come from the spiritual realm. How do you fight the devil? You do things on the level of God. You don't do things on the same level. So you can't build no houses. You can't buy no land. You can't get no money. You can't store no food. None of that is going to help you. That might sustain you for a few days. You understand what I'm saying? But if the ancestors are saying they are mad and they're saying that they got all this power, we got the Native American power, or the native power, native indigenous Western power. We have the African powers. We got the Asian powers. We got all of these particular powers, and we're not even using them. And Brother Juju is one of the main persons that pulled my coat on that particular thing, and we're going to get into that when we go into some solutions. So at this particular time, I want to get into this particular science on Akhenaten. Number one, Akhenaten. Should I do an invocation, or are we good to go? Huh?
The more we get in here, the better.
You want to do one?
Hey?
Do one. Okay, good. Okay, we're going to do an invocation to Obatala in Yoruba language. If I say things like I said, when you say these things, don't worry if you're saying I'm wrong, because the ancestors are the spirits. Correct them before they even give them to the gods, because there's a chain of command. So we want to do this to Obatala in the Yoruba language. I feel it's more appropriate. We read out all the stuff in the English language. So here it is. Guale guale lo meyo. Guale guale lo meyo. Guale guale lo meyo. Guale parameta. Guale guale parameta. Guale guale lo meyo. Guale guale lo meyo. Guale guale lo meyo. Guale parameta. Guale parameta. Aku baba baba li baba kurero. Ipio li lilelo. Oku yi bendelo baba ali baba li baba kui uro omi lino baba ku uri omi lino okuni bandelo bandela leo oba obatala iko chi ishilo he obatala ipa lumelo pasala ife lumela ila pasa ila kui omo ku aro oba pela tuma obatala ali alili baba kui uro omi lino guai lomeo guai pera meta let me get this right now. Guai pera miki guai li mio pera miki guai pera mi kio guai li mayo guai pera meta guai pera miki guai pera meta. Now this is the invocation of Obatala. This is in a book called Santeria, African Magic in Latin America by, what's that woman name? Margine, whatever. Yeah, you can read that out and all. I'm so tired of pronouncing people's names in the whole 9 yards. But, so we wanted to do that, the invocation of Obatala, which is good, because if you ever do a Yoruba ritual, you need an invocation that's done, that comes in Yoruba. In the Yoruba tongue. Believe me, this was even harder to even pronounce when I first started doing it. And all, but I got it down packed now a little bit, but you know how it is, it stuttered a little bit. Now, I want to get into Akhenaten. These are some things. This is not just a historical lecture. Oh, he didn't go back to a historical lecture. We already know these things. This is some stuff that was sent down by the Brotherhood to tell you that you need to know about the brother Akhenaten. Now, because there's some things that's going on that you need to know, because we got to unmask this particular God King for the simple fact that our particular theology that we are built in the West on is based on the teachings of Akenaton. Number one, the Afrocentric scholars did the brother a bad deal for the simple fact that they looked at the social path because they are into explaining history. So they looked at the social path of what was going on, and they did not look into the particular god Aton. It was only till this December when I met up with a spiritual fellow by the name of the Most High, by the name of Awas. Then I later on met with this particular brother. His name is Melchizedek also, which is his Hebrew name. Then I said, well, what is your Egyptian name? He said, my Egyptian name is Medu Ra Aton. I said, oh, now this is a link between Akhenaten. I said, is this the same Aton of Akhenaten? He said, yes. Then he said, my name would be Metatron in Greek, that later on ended up into the Holy Kabbalah. Now, your Holy Kabbalah is the precursor to your Bible, which means that your Bible is the exoteric version to an esoteric version, telling you to raise yourself up to Godhood based on the tree of life. Even the tree of life that Raul never talks about, the Hebrew one came out of Kemet, because we showed on many of my videos the actual Pharaoh holding up the actual Kabbalah. One good book is Dion Fortune's Mythical Kabbalah. Another book is by McGregor Mathers called The Morning of Magicians. There's a few books I asked him to order. One book, McGregor Mathers, the book is called Kabbalah Universalized. Another good book, Creating of That Mutant in Atlantis, the creation of the mutant of the white boy, documented in a book called, this particular book called Morning of the Magicians. And I think that's by Powell and Berger, a real good book that was out of print that the white boy just released again. A lot of things with Hitler and the whole 9 yards where they're trying to create an even higher race of mutants. So this was a good book to get, as well as some other books I'm going to explain also. So now, so what we want to do is, this particular Medu Ra Aton, which was the actual Aton that Akhenaten was talking about, all of a sudden this particular, in the last 3 weeks, I gave this particular book away, The Son of the Sun, and went back to the brother's house, and I was looking on it. I said, man, I got to have this back. He said, you can have it back. I started reading some of the things in here, and it tapped into some stuff, and metaphysically, it started bringing back a certain amount of clarity on this mystery behind Akhenaten. And as a result, we've been able to unveil an even greater deal of mystery, and I'm going to introduce a couple of other books to you also. Now, let's go into this. Queen T, or Queen Tide, which you've seen several pictures of Queen Tide, who was an Ethiopian woman. At the particular time in Kemet, the priesthood started warring. The priesthood against Amen, and the priesthood of Amen and the priesthood of Ptah started warring and started going against each other. But it was not to say that the different God forms were different. It's about like the Baptists and the Methodists. You see what I'm saying? All of a sudden, the ideologies of the same one God started splitting up. So you started getting that same social breakdown more than a spiritual breakdown, but it was a social breakdown that would lead to a spiritual breakdown. So therefore, at this particular time, it was late into the 18th dynasty. They started partying in Kemet, and you can get the social reference from that book, Akenaton, the Heretic King. Which somebody has that book? Okay, that book, Akenaton, Heretic King by Donald Redford. Yeah, you might well pass it up so I can say a little things from it. That particular book, as well as some other books, the social structure started breaking down, and people started partying all night. This is what happened. They started partying all night, because at that particular time, Kemet had become a cosmopolitan state, where it became the particular state where you would have actually different people coming in from all over. Mesopotamia, Mediterranean, but remember now, all black people might be different. Who's the white man on the front now? You want to give you this stuff saying it was different races. But but we knew that these people were all black races that was there, and it was different structures of the same people who had migrated to different places and probably met with this Aryan coming down, and miscegenating with them, and they came back mulattoes or whatever you want to call it. Just black people, because if you got the melanin, you black people. The white man knows that. One drop of black blood and you a nigger. He even knows that stuff, So what had happened was, it was cosmopolitan Kemet. They started partying all night. And so the older people said, well, the younger people are not listening to what we used to say. And the younger people started saying, man, I don't want to hear this particular stuff. And this is just like you have now, a breakdown, but not as bad as you got now. This is the land of the beast. Nothing is as bad as this, because this is hell. But anyway, what had happened was Queen T came on the throne, her and her husband, and she decided that she was going to change this because she was from Ethiopia, where you had the god Sut-Nessi. Sut-Nessi, which means the god of the blue-black, or the blue-black god. Nessi means people. Sut means black. It means the god of the black people. So they said Sut-Nessi, which was this original god, which later on was a form of Harakiti, which would be the same as Heru Christ, which the priesthood of On established in Kemet, at Heliopolis, or On, one of the first nomes in the first pre-dynastic Kemet. But it was an elder god from Ethiopia, which was still being worshipped in Ethiopia. And what had happened, Kush, what had happened was she came to the throne and she said, well, these priesthood are warring, so I'm going to try to go back to a much pure form, to the Heru Christ, or we would say the Aton of the solar disk, that you actually see, the particular disk with that you see here, this particular disk with these rays of hands that you're going to see. But at this particular time, this is what Akhenaten turned it into. The original disk would look something like this, and you've all seen this. You've all seen this, and I'll show you a picture of it to show you. Because this is the original sun disk, the sun and the wings, which is Heru on the horizon, which is at the staff of the Tahuti. So if this is connected with you, this means that also you are God. We got some beautiful things we're going to go into today, including some things on this white boy believing that you the devil and he is right because you are his devil. I want to go into that because I got some other information for the last lecture people and all. But anyway, Queen T, she decided that she was going to establish this new religion. So the actual hierarchy sent her a spiritual son. Now back up. Now that's starting to look like some other story you know of a time when things started going, and then all of a sudden you got this particular woman that sent a spiritual son. Right? Check. You'll find out that the grapes don't fall too far from the tree. So she was sent a spiritual son. That son was born, and that son was later on changed his name to Akhenaten, and later on stepped down from Pharaoh to co-regent. Now at this particular time, what had happened was, he decided, when he was a young boy, he saw all of this stuff going on, all of the people partying, and all of this stuff breaking down. So he decided when he got to a certain age and became Pharaoh and had the power to do something, he was going to establish the older religion that his mother brought him up in, that he was raised with. So he established, once he became the Pharaoh and became co-regent or whatever, he established this particular Aton. Now Aton is a form of Heru. So all of a sudden, this is a Heru that predates the Osiris, that Osiris, or Osar being the father of Heru. This particular Heru is a form of Ha-Er, which would be the original Horus the Elder, the Heru the Elder, which would go all the way back to the original form of Sut, the first blue-black primordial god of all time. You see, the reason why you don't find a lot of things in the Budge books, because you're looking at the later mythology, from Ptah going on into Ra and Osiris. Ptah is a form of Sut in the original mythology called Sut, which means black. The original name for the god form that we have, there's no other name that predates this god form, is called Al-Sut, which means, Al means God and Sut means black, or the god black. At this time it came from a place called Al-Moria. Al is the place that you would have the word Atlantis and this whole 9 yards would come from, and Lemuria. The original name for that is Al-Moria. Al means God, Kim or Cam means black, and Moria or Moor means Lord of the Earth. And we know that we can date these Moors more than just the Islamic Spain, because we had the Greeks talking about the Moors, that Brother Hakim Bey told you, the black Moors in Greece, and the Romans talked about it, and this predates the actual Islamic Moors. So we understood that the Islamic Moors brought that particular Islam into Europe to tame this particular savage beast at this particular time, where he introduced alchemy to give that particular Moor a soul. That European a soul. which alchemy is the black substance of the work making of the black. I'll get into that in a minute. If you don't have that, you do not have a soul. So anyway, this particular soot, Heru Christ, is a form of Aton in Ethiopia. So he establishes this Aton in Ethiopia. Now, at this particular time, this Aton is called the sun. They said, well, black people worship the sun. Well, your sun is nothing but a reflection of a greater sun. So when you look at that sun, and we finally figured this out, I said, well, there's a black sun. And then me and the brother said it once, and no, wait a minute, hold on. Start thinking on another level. Start thinking on a metaphysical level. Our sun is of a greater sun. That greater sun, our earth goes around the sun every 365 days. Our sun goes around a greater sun every 26,000 years. That's called a great year, the end of the eon of the end of the world. That greater sun is called Sirius. But our sun is a reflection. That means that our sun in the universe does not exist. That means that if it's a reflection, now it's not just like the moon that reflects the light of the sun. We are saying that our sun being a reflection of a sun, so that sun out there is Sirius, of 93 million miles away. It's just a reflection, because remember now, if you go out in space, you can't find it. It's black out there. And seeing to me, closer you get to the sun, the lighter it should be. I told my mama that when I was young. I said, well, shoot, seeing me, so they go out in space, it shouldn't be black. That's closer to the sun. It should be lighter than what it is here. But that's black out there. And you don't see anything but Sirius is one of the biggest stars you see. And they show you all these pictures of these planets, but they don't show you this picture of the sun. That is because that particular sun is Sirius. But it's a greater reflection of Sirius. At night, it is the brightest star in the actual sky. In the daytime, based on your ether or your atmosphere, it is a reflection of the sun that you know of. Because we understand that because the Brotherhood told me that Amun-Ra and Aten was one and the same. It's just, like I said, it's just a social breakdown. And they didn't kill him because of the worship of that. They killed him because, or they thought they killed him, so we thought. This is the key. But they did away with him based on a social breakdown, getting rid of the army. And his so-called said was mad because he married Nefertiti in the whole 9 yards. But anyway, that particular son, Amun and Aton, is one and the same. So are they talking about Amun-Ra? Are they talking about the sun? Are they talking about Sirius? The first time I asked Melchizedek, I said, was Amun-Ra the sun? He said, yes, it's the sun. Then I said, well, your name is Medu-Ra-Aton, which means Medu means the word, Ra means the sun, and Aton means the sun. The Ra, the sun, in Aton means Sirius. This means the word of the sun in Sirius. Jah means the sun in Sirius. Aton means the sun in Sirius, or the sun and Sirius. So I said, so that's Aton is Sirius. But then he came back and said, well, Amun and Aton is the same. I said, but I thought you said that Amun was the sun. I said, how could it be the sun and be Sirius at the same time? And then I said, then we put this stuff together. I said, oh, that's right. Our sun is a reflection of a greater sun. So that what we see out there with that sun is Sirius. It's just a reflection of that particular sun. And I said, oh, so it's one and the same. So when we look at 93 million miles away, or 8 light years away, that we call the sun behind the sun behind the sun is the sun. Now, are we talking about God? Or are we talking about the sun? We'll get into that in a few minutes. What they mean by that particular, is it the sun, or is it God, or is it a spirit? Well, we'll get into that science in a few minutes. Some of you have heard my videos and already know what's going on. Now, it said that this particular son of this Aton, birth Akhenaten, with his last name is Aton, which means that he is the son of Aton, and Aton being his father. He said that the actual Aton was used as a channel to the Pharaoh. So in actuality, what he did when he tore down the actual governments, they were actually channeling to him. Now remember, Moses went somewhere on a mountain. Remember, Muhammad went somewhere on a mountain or some type place. And every time they go somewhere, they get into deep meditation and get a divine revelation. That's called channeling. White people do it every day now. That's all you have. And they channel this particular information, which inspired the Holy Quran, which inspired the Torah. Well, stick with me, because we're going to get real deep into this Aton thing and show you some things that went on. So he was a channel for the sun. Now they said that this particular first god with the winged disc was Heru Christ, was seen in human form at first. Then he got rid of the human form and changed it to this particular sun that you see with the rays in the hands, and said that you are nothing but a microcosm of the macrocosm. You are a solar product of this particular sun, saying there ain't no difference between this sun and you. It's just that right now you are playing a role, like an acting role, in a physical body and a shell, but there's a sun also in you. And these particular rays, which are hands that are supposed to reach down and touch you and lift you back up to the product that you are from. You are the microcosm of the macrocosm. So that particular first, this god Aton was in human form as a hawk-headed deity, or falcon deity called Heru the elder, which goes all the way back to the god Sut, or the god Awas. Now, first Akenaton, what had happened was he established this particular religion and got rid of the priesthood and the whole 9 yards. He had a particular, at that time I think it was an advisor. It later on became Pharaoh. His name was A. And that's the word A-Y-E is his name, Pharaoh A. And he warned Akhenaten. He said, look, that the priesthood are mounting up against you. He said, so you got to get out of here, because now I'm going to share some archaeological evidence of him being in another place after his reign in Kemet. But I thought they had killed him. See, this is a mystery. Now listen to the story and see, does this look like it's actually 2 people that you know of. It warned him and told him that he would have to leave Kemet after being in, I think he reigned for 17 years, I believe, which is a pretty good while. At first, he had the Aton worship coinciding concurrently with the Amun worship, though they didn't have any problem. Then he decided that I need to get rid of the other priesthoods altogether, because the brotherhood told him, said, look, some things are getting ready to start messing up, and so what we want to do is we want to go back to the right and exact form of the Godhead, even though the other gods are the same. But we are now, at one time, we were advanced enough that we can understand the divine metas. We can understand the divine equation based on a puzzle, and when you put it together, it represents the one God of the God one, that you can get, that all of the gods was monotheistic from the book, from Fetish to God, Ancient Egypt, from Fetish to God in Ancient Egypt, Ewald Spudge done 1935 before his death, and said that I thought that these gods was polytheistic, but they was monotheistic all the time. It's just the different components, as we call netas. When you put them together, they represent the one God and the God one, and the Africans always worship the one God. But these Africans were so advanced, they understood the netas are the natures, and they put them in animals. Why in animals? Because they understood if you put it in the animals, people change, cultures change, ideas change, but animals stay the same. Nature stay the same. Now, unless you get a beast on the planet that starts killing them, making them extinct, and then he even killed the planet. We'll go into that in a few. And you all stick with me. I know this might seem a little long, but you got to stick with me, because we got juice now, and we'll show you what you can do. And I believe if every one of you start doing these things this week, on into the rest of your life, every day, we can get this beast off the planet by the 1st of 95. Serious business. This is what's going down. So y'all stick with me so you can get the juice. You've been moaning, and I know y'all sick and tired of being sick and tired. Right? Check. Now, to get back, this particular Pharaoh named A told him, said, listen, the priesthood have been warned, and you have, at first he had them going concurrently. Then he said, I'm going to get rid of all of Amun and Ptah. Then this made a big uproar in Kemet. And this particular person named A came to him and told him, said, look, he said that you got to get the hell out of here, he said, because they're going to come and they're going to kill you. But what we didn't realize is we just assumed that they murdered him. Dr. Ben and a couple of them said that they murdered him. Some people say he was poisoned. Some people said his throat was cut, but in actuality, his Akenaton was the one that was poisoned, and we have history of that. Tutankhamun, but not Akhenaten. It's a mystery between Akhenaten and this particular Pharaoh A. Now check it out. He said, you must leave, and Akhenaten fled to the Sinai Peninsula, or the Mount Sinai. Oh, now the story is getting familiar, right? Okay. At this particular time, when he fled, the evidence of this particular archaeological evidence is found at Mount Sinai by Egyptologists by the name of Flinders Petrie. That was in the late 1800s. They had an expedition Kemet, and so therefore when he went there, he didn't go to no place but one other place somewhere at his home. But they said, okay, we're going to give you this. So they actually got the actual documents of Aton as well as Akhenaten being in Mount Sinai. Oh, but I thought that Moses was the first father of monotheism. We understand that the first father of monotheism was Akhenaten, right? So you can get this from Flinders Peachtree, but I'm going to give you a particular book. But the particular book, this particular Africa's thesis was on it, but then again, by him not tapping into the spiritual world and finding out what really happened, he's off a little bit, but therefore you can still read it when and compare it with my stuff that I got from Melchizedek Thursday, based on another sister that's helping me out now. Akhenaten, they put Tutankhamun up, and he became which was his brother, his younger brother. He became Pharaoh. This gave Akhenaten time to go to Sinai and actually work and actually improve, and actually what he did was he developed his religion of monotheism. Okay? Now, the key to this whole thing was Moses, Musa, which means child, or child drawn from the water. It also means water. Musa was, in fact, a student of Akhenaten, and he was a priest of Akhenaten. And I want to get a document here. I want to read something to you. Let me get this document, because I want to read this to you, so we can get this on film. And document this right quick. Y'all stay with me, because I want to go into this alien agenda, and I want to show you exactly what we got to do. But we got to put this out because we need this particular information. Now, I think it's in page 75 or one of those. Hold on 1 minute. Bear with me. Put this right. Okay. Moses, I want to document something in Manetho. Now, Manetho, who was a high priest of Kemet, when the Greeks started ruling, the Greeks said what? They said, well, who was this particular Moses that the actual Hebrews are running around saying is their emancipator or a liberator? And were there slaves in Kemet? Now, we know that there was never any slaves in Egypt. But anyway, our document, Manetho said that Moses was a priest king and a student of Akhenaten. Now, what had happened was, you have the word Aton. That particular word Aton comes from you have a Hebrew word, Aton, that's A-T-O-N. The Hebrew word would be Adonai. Now, you know that the Africans in the Semitic language, they use a D instead of a T. So Adon would be the particular Adonai, which would be the Hebrew word for Aton. So in the Hebrew word for Adonai means the Lord, the great Almighty, the Lord. So this is a link between the same Godhead, and you can get a book called Moses and Monotheism that bears witness with this. With Sigmund Freud, that had to put this book out his last year of his life, or a couple of years before he died, because he knew he had cancer, and he had this book, and he had known this particular information for a long time. But he had to put this particular information out because he wanted to give the people the truth. And so he put this particular information out before he died. And we knew that he tapped into some works of Gerald Massey also that he did not deal with. Gerald Massey in his books of the beginning says you that Adon, Atum, Atom, Amen, Aton, and Adonai is the same people. So he tapped into that particular thing, and so he put this particular work out, but we understood that he had to put this particular work out because he understood that, in fact, this was some truth that is going down. Now, the word Adonai means my. Adon means Aton, which means Sirius. The ni of the I on the end means my or mine or the possession. So it meant my Aton, in another word that we're talking about here. So now, this is a correlation between the Egyptian God and the actual Hebrew God. Now, what happened was, at this particular time, he fled to Sinai. And what had happened was he could not speak the words, he could not speak fluent Hebrewism. What had happened was he had already started adopting a certain Hebrews to be his students. he couldn't speak some Hebrewism, the Hebrew language. Now, there's a book I'm going to introduce. The name of this book is Moses, the Pharaoh of Egypt, by Ahmed Osman, which is, you can get this name again, but I want to show you something in the particular book, where it says, in the Bible, and you can read this in your Bible, I'll tell you the chapter, that it says, that now Moses could not speak Hebrew. Excuse me, Akhenaten could not speak Hebrew. Then it says, now, I want you to put, when you read Akhenaten, or when you read Moses, I want you to put the word Akhenaten in front of Moses. Now it says, Moses said unto the Lord, I am not equipped. I am slow in speech and slow in tongue. Then it says, this is the reason why Aaron had to teach the Israelites, and he became the spokesman for Moses. Then it said, and the anger of the Lord, who was kindled against Moses, and he said, is not Aaron the Levite thy brother? I know that he can speak well. This is in Exodus 4:14. The other one was Moses said that he was not equipped in the tongue. He was slow in the tongue, and in the language was in 4:10 of Exodus. Now, the key to this whole thing is this. Akhenaten could not speak the tongue of the Hebrews. So that sounds just like an Egyptian king that could not speak the tongue of the Hebrews. So, then he had this particular person, Aaron, said he could speak the tongue. Now remember, Moses was an Egyptian priest, or a Kemetic priest, which Moses is known as having some link with the Hebrews. So you know now that Moses was Aaron, and Akhenaten was Moses. Why? Because we have no history of record of Moses, only in the actual biblical record, and that biblical record was what? It was recorded 700 years after the death of Moses, or Aaron. This is, and it's like Dr. Ben said, you go all over Kemet. You go to Goshen, where he was so-called born, no records of a Moses. But we have the records of the Mosa kings, which was Moses was an Egyptian name, Akmoses, Tutmoses, and the whole 9 yards, which means to draw from the water, or it means child. So now, but we do have records of a king in Kemet by the name of Akhenaten that rebelled against the system. Okay? He rebelled against the system, and he tried to establish a new monotheistic religion. Remember? So now, all of a sudden, if you look at the book of Exodus and you look at the whole Moses thing, we don't have a record of one person, but we have a record of another person, which is Akhenaten. Then we see that the actual teachings of Akhenaten, we knew that Aton, and we knew that Moses being a priest of Akhenaten, and the teachings of Akhenaten would actually be coming from, we knew that Moses had these teachings, but what we didn't realize that the actual life of Moses, because Moses did exist, he existed as his priest, but the actual life of Moses was the life of Akhenaten, who rebelled, and also when he fled to Ethiopia and took on he met an African queen, Ethiopian queen, and he took on this particular Ethiopian queen. Let me give you her name. Her name is, this Ethiopian queen name is Adonis, or Atonit, which in actuality is showing you that what he met there, or whatever, what kind of thing they're transfusing, putting this stuff all together. When he met this particular queen in Ethiopia, he met a religion in Ethiopia that was, in fact, the religion of Adoni, or Aton. And Moses, because this Atonit is the same one, and he took on this particular person as his wife. Now, a few other keys to this particular part. Once he got in the place, what happened was you had King Tut ruled after he left. He's in Sinai. He's getting his religion together. Then this particular Pharaoh that warned him at first was the Pharaoh A, after they killed King Tut, or King Tutankhamun, because his first name was King Aton, which he was a member of the Aton faith. Then he restored the priesthood back, and he put his name to Tutankhamun, that Amun on the end. But they said, oh, that ain't good enough because you used to worship Aton. And when you get real powerful, you might establish that again. So they went and took him out and poisoned him at the age 19. Because he came on, I think he ruled for 9 years. And he came on at the age 10, and they poisoned him at the age 19. So now, what had happened was, after he died, the A took over, this particular Pharaoh A. Then a particular Pharaoh who was a sympathetic person to Aton too. Because he was the first person that warned Akhenaten that he had to leave and get the hell out of Kemet. Then this particular person, Heru Christ, came on. And he was a person that was hostile to the Aton worship and reestablished and really tore down all the temples and established the Amen worship thoroughly, even though Tutankhamun gave them the actual go-ahead to start worshiping this again. Then, after Heru Christ died, he had a vice president, he had an actual a general by the name of Ramesses I, who was Seti I, who was the first of the Ramesside kings. He came on, and when he came on, he became Pharaoh. Then, after 13 years of Akhenaten being gone, I think it was almost, I think it was 13 years later, Akhenaten comes back in, and Ramesses in some of the descriptions describes himself as being the ruler of all of that of Aton embraces, meaning that Aton worship, I'm the ruling over this now, and I'm an Amen person, but was he Amen person because his name was Seti I, and one of the original forms of Aton is the god Sut, or Set, which is not talking about the evil Set, but we're talking about the good Set, and Seti I, so he was a ruler of that, and he was a believer of Set II, the Seti I. That he changed his first name from Ramesses I to Seti I, who was the father of Ramesses II, who built the temple of Seti I in Abydos at the year of 22, which on the temple of Seti I is the same one where they got the white man being the devil up in there, and being this particular created man in the temple of Seti I in the inscriptions. Now, he comes on. At this particular time, now notice the story. Moses supposedly had gone back into Egypt or Kemet to get his particular people. Remember, he's supposed to go back into the Hebrews and told them let the people go. Well, in actuality, because Heru Christ died and that was the end of the 18th dynasty, Akhenaten said, hey, it's time for me to go back up in and get my throne back. But when he got back, Ramesses was this powerful ruler, and Akhenaten said, hey, I tell you what, I don't want no confrontation with you. I tell you what I'll do. I'll just get the rest of the people who believe in Aton and we'll just go to Sinai. And at the particular time, you notice you have a thing about Moses' rod. That was the discussion of Moses' rod was actually the actual rod that the Pharaoh had when he ruled the dynasties. You see this scepter, this particular rod. So when he came in and he threw down his rods and the magicians threw down their rods, that was nothing but a discussion over the rulership of Kemet because you ruled by this particular rod and the rod was indigenous to the pharaohs. You understand? Which was a pharaoh's type of ornament, or what you would call it, this particular rod. So he said, I tell you what, he said, I don't want no part of this. He said, I just want to just get my people, and I want to go. Now, this is what happened. At the particular time, you know of the killing of when Moses supposedly had killed a particular Egyptian. Well, there's an inscription, or there's a passage where they said they want to find out about that. There's a passage here in the particular book. It says, among a letter that was written to Akhenaten when he was ruling by King Abd Khalid, the king of Jerusalem, which in this king accuses Akhenaten of allowing the Hebrews to kill in Egypt, allowing the Hebrews in Egypt to kill an Egyptian official without being punished for the crime. And this is an actual document that's saying that in actuality, it was Akenaton that was being accused of killing some Egyptian official, and this is also a thing that is also in the writing. So now what we have, to break this thing down, and we also know that the 10 Commandments, Akhenaten being an actual king, he knew of the 10 Commandments, and he carved up 10 of those from the 47 negative confessions, or what you would call the 47 laws of Mayat, and he carved those 10 up, you know all that story, and gave that also to his people. And he just patched up this particular religion and gave it to the actual people. Now, what had happened was, when it comes to Akhenaten, was that Akhenaten by him being Aton, and by Aton being a form of Heru, Akhenaten being the embodiment, and he was and his mother Queen T having a spiritual son. In actuality, not only is he the Moses figure, although Moses existed, but Moses existed as a person that was under tutelage under Akhenaten. So therefore, we can actually have him as Aaron. Now, not only was he this particular person that existed, but since he was a spiritual person, and Aton means Heru, and we know that Heru means the original Christ figure, that means, in fact, that the historical Christ that they're talking about, they understood that there's a mythical Christ, which was Joshua ben Pandera, that got killed in Jerusalem, Palestine, for doing some things and messing with them Jews' money. You know that whole thing. But we understand that he was the historical Jesus, that they took the teachings of a later Jesus that predated him 10,000 years on the book, and another 600,000 years on the written word. That Heru goes back and predates Osiris, who is the Christ figure. That particular Christ figure that we know of is Heru, the mythical Christ. But he always comes down and touches down in human form. The human form this time, when they supposed to have saved Kemet, he came down in the Pharaoh Akhenaten. And at that particular time, when he came down at the Pharaoh Akenaton, they say, okay, Akhenaten got rid of the army. That was messed up what it might have been. But if they would have gone and taken heed to what the actual hierarchy sent them, which is called Medulla Aton, which is called Melchizedek, which this particular Jesus Christ supposed to have been the order of Melchizedek. Well, now, wait a minute. Melchizedek says his name is Medulla Aton, which Akhenaten says Aton is his father. And now we get in the Bible version that Melchizedek, Jesus was of the order of Melchizedek. So now we see this particular story being recopied over and over again. So now they sent this particular spiritual person down, and they wanted this particular spiritual person to clean up Kemet and get Kemet back on the path. Then they said it wouldn't make a difference whether you didn't have an army or not, because if you're on the right spiritual path, can't nothing penetrate that anyway. So what had happened was, because they did away with him and they didn't kill him, because they did away with him, and he went into the Sinai Peninsula, and actually what had happened was, after he died or whatever, the person who taught them the Hebrew tongue that they called Moses, who was Akhenaten, was the one that was attributed to Akhenaten's life and teachings. But he was only a priest of the Akhenaten. But therefore also too, if he's teaching the Hebrews as a new adopted people that Akhenaten had to get to, for the simple fact that he left most of his people, but Hebrew is actually, when we say Hebrew, we're not talking about nothing but a group of Egyptians or a group of Kemites. Because that go all the way back to that Hyksos thing, which was a group of Kemites. So when we talk about Hebrews, all we're talking about is a group of Egyptians. Because we know that the Hebrew language is nothing but copied from the hieroglyphic language. So in actuality, this was just a new people that he called Hebrew. They were nothing but ancient Kemites. It's just like you got some people that's in Georgia, but you got various different people. Some calling themselves Moors, some calling themselves Nation of Islam. It's the same thing, even with the actual name. So these particular Hebrews was nothing but a branch of the Kemites that left. And so therefore, since he got, because it said, out of Egypt I will call my son, which was Akhenaten, because his father was Aton, which was a form of the ancient Heru. Y'all all with me? Now at this particular time, if they would have kept these particular brothers and sisters in Kemet, Kemet would have never fallen. Therefore, there was an extract of people that left, and these people are now the indigenous people of those people travel across the Atlantic, because we know the whole thing, and you'll be in bondage inflicted in 400 years in a land not your own. We know that was not Kemet because there was no historical record. But we do know we got the same version of that in the version of the world of 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 year prophecy, in the version of the world where they give you the complete story. And they said it's these black people in America, for a short story. So we know that the actual people that he took out is what the actual Melchizedek told me to tell you was us. You understand? So in actuality, ain't no different. Those are our brothers and sisters in Kemet too. It's just that you got to take a people out, and we are the burden bearers for the whole Africa. Because we know that Africa ain't got nothing on their mind. They're trying to get the hell away from Africa. Go to England, go to France. You understand? Come here. You understand? So therefore, we know that we are the actual burden bearers, and we are the strongest, because nobody else could survive what we we survive. Because even the Africans that died off, we are the strongest. So therefore, we are that lineage that they're talking about, but that lineage that they're talking about is not a Hebrew lineage. It is, in fact, an Egyptian image, lineage, which you have. The Hebrews is a certain sect that left. Out of Egypt I will call my son. This particular book by Osman, he says that Moses is Akhenaten. And he says there was no Moses, it was only Akhenaten. But the hierarchy told me, yes, there was a Moses, just as Manetho said that there was a Moses, he just was the priest. So in actuality, he is telling the truth. This book by the name of Osman, they're going to have some here, they're going to get this book here. It's coming from England. The Mysteries of Akhenaten solved. But what he didn't know, what he tried to, he did his homework. But the point about that, there was a Moses, but he was the Egyptian priest, just as you can get the $5 book, Moses and Monotheism, that I just showed. Moses and Monotheism, which Sigmund Freud also proved. Now, the guy, what's the guy that wrote Black Folks Here and There? Sinclair Drake said that he could not understand why the white people were so crazy about Akhenaten. But what he didn't realize is these white people knew something early on when they went back into Kemet. They knew that Akhenaten was actually the Pharaoh, was the teachings of the Pharaoh Moses. So in actuality, they bear witness to Akhenaten. And so we reading stuff from a historical path and not really studying the Godhead. We say, well, socially, this man did some messed up stuff. He was a heretic. He was a person that tore down Kemet. But in actuality, saying white people loved him for that. But in actuality, white people knew that this particular person was, in fact, Moses in the teachings. And Moses would be equivalent to an Aaron, which would be the people who actually taught them the actual teachings. Now, there's a part where he had to go in and he had to compromise. And he had to compromise by changing, he had to go in and these particular people, where some of those people were coming from cosmopolitan Kemet, were actually people that actually worship Jehovah. And so he had to compromise, and then the word Adonai Jehovah arose as the two part of the system put together. But they're saying Jehovah is none other than unlike the other God, but he just said this to put it together because he understood that Jehovah meant also the sun in Sirius too. Jah, the sun in Sirius. Or the word Kek, which means the sun in Sirius. Aton is the sun in Sirius. Adonai is the sun in Sirius. Heru Christ, which is the original form, is the sun in Sirius, which is Sirius at one, the actual sun as Sirius. Because you remember, then we have, since we have the grandson, Allah means the sun in Sirius. Because we asked, because this brother, he said the reason how he could piece this thing together, and I always told you should do this. He said how he pieced this together is what he couldn't find in the Bible, he would find the rest of the story in the Holy Quran. So right there it's telling you that you're supposed to read both of the doggone books together, and that's why y'all arguing over this thing. You're supposed to read both books together. And this is the reason why he said he got further when he would pick up the Quran and he would get a little more on the doggone story. You see, the Allah is a form of Adonai, which means the Lord also, because we understand that Adonai means the sun in Sirius, and in the Holy Quran it tells you this is the God who created both male and female from one single ejaculated semen and will create all things anew. He is the Lord of Sirius in the surah under the star. But why would they have the moon and they would have the star? Why wouldn't they have the sun and the moon, where the temples of the sun and the moon is in Mexico? Because the sun is Sirius. So therefore, when they showed the star, they were showing the actual sun, and they say the star and the crescent, but that star is Sirius, which is also the Greek god Pan, which is the Chinese god Shawan. All of it goes, which is the blue star Krita in the Hopi Indian, which we talk about the same one Godhead. So he understood this, so we have the actual origins of the Mohammedanism coming right straight out of this particular part where they also talk about the Mahdi coming back. The Hebrews talk about the Messiah. It's just that this Christian religion came up and threw a monkey wrench in it because they kept saying that Jesus was here, and not only was Jesus here, all the rest of you can never be like him. But in the book, they put passages in there, is it not written in your law that ye are gods? John chapter 10, verse 34 to 36. And be ye as I am. So they say Jesus was a composite figure that went too doggone far. It says, or did he go too far? Or did the writers, because when we know of that particular Jesus on the earth plane, he told the people to be like him. And said, just like I have the attributes, he said what? Great works have I have done, greater works ye shall do. Just as I have the composites, to be this Christ figure, you have it in you also. But as the people started writing, mainly what it was John, I think. Well, it was not John, it was Paul. As Paul started writing, after a while we looked and we got this particular person that's the supreme being that over anybody and nobody can get to nothing. So therefore he's an unapproachable God. You see, and this is the breakdown in one of the hideous forms of what has been going on and why it's been keeping you in slavery, because I'm going to get into the alien agenda in a minute. I'm going to tell you what the aliens said about these doggone religions. It's no problem for you to look at the scriptures, because the scriptures predate the religion. They go back before time. But the doggone religions, the sectarian religions, is slavery. And they said if we had a chance, we'd get rid of all these doggone religions. So now these are some things that's going on now. So we have concluded that Akhenaten was Moses. Moses was his particular priest who ended up being Aaron, which was the actual teacher. Because he was the teacher that taught them the tongue, they took the actual priest and not the actual person who was the person who actually taught the priest. And the actual life of this particular person growing up in Pharaoh's house was actually Akhenaten. You understand what I'm saying? And it was Moses. The Egyptians was not that dumb. Doggone Pharaoh was not that dumb to know whether he had a child or not, and somebody go find a damn child outside and bring him back up and he raises him. Come on. This is some fool. You ain't that stupid. You know it ain't your child, because the first thing you holler, it ain't mine. Especially you doggone brothers, it ain't mine. You see what I'm saying? You think that they ain't no doggone child, so we know that this was the actual Akhenaten. Now, so we know this is going on now. We talk about this Sirius. There's a part in this book about ancient Egyptian Sirius, the Sirius mystery, and also in Osiris, Egyptian resurrection, I think 1 or 2, where they talk about the Pharaoh Pepi completing his incarnations where he did not have to go to any more classrooms, and he became a small star in the Sirius solar system. That particular small star is the same as your soul rising up and completing the classroom time. You go to another classroom after you leave here, and you become a small star. Which you see that Jesus Christ became a small star because the halo around his head is that particular small star that you can do by raising the chakras, the kundalini, and the whole 9 yards and burning up the karma and completing your mission here on earth. I asked where Master Muhammad went. I asked Melchizedek. He said, he's not a small star. Well, I said that would sound crazy, but I understand that Pepi was a small star, which means raising the godhood. Imhotep raised himself to godhood before he left, because they started worshiping him as a god because they understood that he raised himself to godhood and didn't have to come back and repeat this over. As well as Ani, which the papyrus of Ani, the book of coming forth by day, is talking about. Raising yourself, which is talking about the transmigration of the transformation of a soul going to higher levels. So, when we talk about Aton being this star, or Allah being this star, or Jehovah being this star, or Yahweh being the star, which is all talking about the star Sirius. The star Sirius is the form of the first man that ever lived. Not Adam, but then again, let's look at Adam. Adam comes from Atum, and Atum is identical to Aton. And the mud fashion of Adam is also called the Kabbalah, which is the black god, the Ka and the Ba, which is talking about God that they make the pilgrimage to Mecca. They call that Allah. So we say the first soul in heaven is called Asut, which meant that the triple blackness of space, that I got to always say, because the triple blackness of space, which is in the constellation of Draco, which is the great mother, cuts her vagina open, and in the south gate reveals the first star. But as Allah, or as God does things, once he does something, he makes it a law. Since you are a physical law, God had to have been you first in the flesh. But since you are the first people on earth, black people, we know that that particular God up there is black. Because his reflection comes from the triple blackness of space behind him. So in actuality, his mother, her reflection that comes, she said, I'm so super black that I can't see myself, so I have to make a reflection so the world or so the universe can see me. Her first star, which is Sirius, or Soot, the first of 8 stars, this is number 8, the 8th star. Her first star is a reflection of her. Behind her is the triple blackness of space, just like the melanin in you, the black dot reflects the actual crown chakra. Everybody on that? So the first soul that we know of is that of a black man called Sutnesi Aton Heru Christ, which is Har that will come again. He's ever coming, which will touch down also again. So in actuality, that particular star we see up there is a soul, is God, because when we look at things, they said this religion was advanced to the point that when we look at things, we did not separate science from the actual religion or from spirituality. They are one and the same. Science is the explanation of spirituality. So these are some things we wanted to get into also. Now, let's get to serious matters so we can go into this alien agenda. Number one, we are hoping that we're going to deal with some things. We're going to deal with Khalid Muhammad. We're going to deal with Farrakhan. So y'all stick around. Now, I need some time checks. I need some officials here to let me know when it's time for me we can make a little break. You know, so we can get some things.
We got 45 minutes.
We got 45 minutes. So we're going to go for 45 minutes. And y'all let me know when that time is up. And we're going to go for a break. Y'all don't go nowhere because we got some juice. Like I said, you know what I'm saying? If this was Michael Jackson, with a shaved off nose, white skin, y'all will be doggone knocking the door down for him to do an encore. So please stay. You understand what I'm saying? But see, when somebody's saying, see, what I'm saying here is, we are at the time that we can physically, spiritually move the beast off the planet. But this is no bullshit. This is real stuff. This is real stuff. We can do this now. But see, the whole key is, you notice all the Afrocentric movement, when you ask them how we getting out of this, they never can tell you nothing. They give you some philosophy. Teach it to your kids. I believe in children of the future. That old bullshit. We talk about the real deal stuff here. So you all got to stay around and look at this stuff now. You can't be leaving now because I'm telling you, this stuff is getting ready to hit. We already know that 1995 is it. We've got this thing now, and we open up the actual vortex on May the 8th, 9th, and 10th. So we got the actual juice, and you got to get some of the juice. Okay, now, let's go into this. Number one, we know that we are hoping that Haiti, either if they call sanctions on Haiti, but we're hoping that they bring the troops up in there. They bring the troops up in there, we can counter that because the Bodun got masters over there, priests already said, and they come, we getting ready to go to war too. But see, the only thing can be the physical war is the spiritual war. Right? And because this particular grace period is over, and we actually got cosmic juice, I'm going to tell you about the scar on my head to let you know that this is cosmic juice. I'll tell you about that in a few minutes. I might tell you about that now. I go on all these tapes and I tell you diet, meditation, and study. So the last 2 weeks I said, I'm chilling, you know. My queen went out of town, and I said, okay, I'm chilling. I ain't going to do no meditation or nothing. I ain't going to clean up the doggone house and shit. I ain't going to take out put the dishes in the sink, you know, just be typical man, you know, just chill. So what happened was I did this ritual, and I pour these libations every morning. So when I did the ritual, when you ask for something, they said, as soon as you ask God for it long enough, it's going to come. So I did the ritual and said, let's get the juice going. So I did the ritual the day that she got on the plane. I did the ritual. Okay, that was about 2.5 weeks ago, because she's coming back Wednesday. And I got to go clean up the house Monday. Get the funk out, you know. But see, so I did the ritual. So the juice started coming. I went to Jackson, I went to Chattanooga last Sunday, and I was doing it in the juice store. I said, oh, I feel the juice coming on, because it came on like that before. And the current hit, and I said, okay, I got the juice now. I said, I got the juice, it's on. But the last time it hit, I was meditating. So what happened was I was taking the juice and I was putting it throughout my body. Now this is something you can do for the simple fact this current is here now. So all you got to do is start meditating, and you can get your cells regenerated and all of that. So I was meditating, but this time I wasn't meditating. I had took all this colon cleansing, got cleaned all out, so got the vessel cleaned all out and stuff, but I wasn't meditating. So what had happened was the juice came, and I meditated one Wednesday night for about 15 minutes, and then just enough to open it up, open up the channels. But I wasn't meditating, and this energy came in, and when it came in, it didn't come throughout my whole body, so it came around my head, and all this energy just started coming in, and all I know is it started raining that night. It started raining and thundering and lightning, and that energy was real powerful, and the energy lifted me off the bed, threw me into the me into a stereo. I got a stereo player right beside the bed. You know, all black people, they ain't got nothing in the house. They got a TV and they got some music, radio or something playing. So I had a CD player, and it threw me into the CD player and bust my head open. But then again, I didn't know it because I went back to sleep because I just woke up with a pillow full of blood. And then when I was talking to the spiritual sister, I said, well, what happened? She said, she started channeling. She said, oh, she said, and the channel came through, and they said, oh, your own power threw you off the bed. Said, we threw you off the bed, bust your head open, because you supposed to have been meditating and taking this energy and taking it throughout your body. So since the energy piled up and it wasn't situated throughout your body and balanced, it was too much and it threw you off the bed. I said, well, man, I felt it and bust my head open. So I said, now this is a physical manifestation of the power that is on the planet now. So now we got the juice. You don't have to do nothing. Now, number one, like I said before, I know a lot of you in here are saying, I'm learning this stuff, but the first thing you say is, well, my family ain't gonna get with it. I know that's everybody thinking that. I want to teach my family, but I go home and they tell you I'm a crazy nigga in the food. I know that this is a deep concern with you. The reason why it is not happening that way is because your family, you're supposed to let the dead lie with the dead.
That's right.
Because you exist, you are a representative of your family that is dead. And if you got more people in your house that's down, then cool. But each person, you are a representative, and you are having the divine sacrifice for your other brothers and sisters while they're out here shaking their booties and walking around with bull cans in the whole 9 yards. But you people right now, because you got up on a Sunday and came to something consciousness, I'm telling you that the actual extraterrestrial confederation is not in the sky. You looking at them. So therefore, you are the representative for your family while they are ignorant. So now, and the first thing you do when we learn a little bit of knowledge, we go try to run back and tell them and get beat up. Because number one, it's not for them. There's going to be a physical manifestation that the masses going to bear witness to in a couple of months. But once they bear witness to this in a couple of months, you will be there to say, hey, listen, this is what's going on. This is that. They're going to come running to you. But now is not the time to be called crazy about running to them. They're going to come running to you because remember, the masses never got nothing. You understand what I'm saying? That's why all the doggone black conscious people from the 1960s and the revolutionary is running around this motherfucker crazy now. And don't know what the hell happened. Excuse me for all that, whatever. We talking to family now. Whatever. I don't care no more. The reason why they doing that is for one reason. They thought they could get the masses of the people. The masses of the people are spiritually dead. They'll call it popular culture. They go by what smells good, what tastes good, what looks good, what sounds good, and what feels good. And that's all they're going to go by. So therefore, the masses of people never got nothing. It's always the small nucleus. You know the 85% deaf, dumb, and blind, the 5% are the righteous, and the 10% running it. Well, see, the actual Illuminati or the actual New World Order, Tavistock, or whatever you want to call them, they got that from us. They looked into the mystery system of Africa and Kemet, which is one and the same, and they said, hey, the priests ran the society. So it was a small nucleus. That's why John Henry Clark told you, when you go to Africa, you kill off 12 or 16 African kings, you never get to the real man, them decoy kings. So they running that on us. It's a pyramid shape. You got all the peons on the bottom, and when you get to the top, that's where you get to the real deal people, and that's the smaller it gets. So therefore, this particular nucleus, the way you do things is you don't try to go out and liberate the masses. The masses of the popular culture that goes by current. That goes by what is in fashion. So therefore, what you do is you take the nucleus and make the nucleus strong. The quality, not the quantity. And once the radius of the nucleus gets strong, it will radiate, the light will permeate, and therefore the masses will see the light. But you don't try to go out and take the light, you wear yourself thin. You understand? So this whole thing about he got the masses of our people, that's bulljive, and the white man is feeding that system. Check into that. Now, we want the thing to go down with Haiti. We know that they're going to impose sanctions. Now I heard they're getting ready to go into Haiti. Well, the vote on priest already said they're going to Haiti. We got them. Okay? We got them. Therefore, since there's no such thing as time or geography and dimensions, all we got to do is tap into what we got to tap in at this time, and we can take the beast off the planet, because the spirit's going to be there. Now, I'll tell you what you got to do. It's simple. slow. But we got to start doing this from this day on. We get ready to take the beats off the planet. You all trust me on this one. Why? Because I'm not a nigga up here asking you to give me no money as far as follow me nowhere, follow me to no promised land. I'm not telling you. Right. I'm not telling you to go to no economic plan. I'm not telling you that I'm the Holy Messiah and you not. We all the doggone Holy Messiahs. That's what the rising of the Christ means. It means one who exalts himself to a level of spirituality and an entire race of people based on the esoteric doctrine. And that entire race of people are you because you were Christ before you fell into this. Check? So, once this thing hits, and we're going to start doing some things, the Godhead is getting together in Atlanta today. We're getting ready to start doing some things tonight and Monday. Tomorrow morning, we're going to do some things. Number one, well, I'll get into that in a few minutes. But anyway, hold on to that. We'll get into the solutions at the end. But remember, when Haiti hits, that is a dimension of spiritual ass whipping because the white man is going on physical. But you don't fight a devil by becoming the beast and going on the physical level. He's the master of that. You automatically win. Elijah Muhammad said that'll be like taking candy from a baby if you stand up against the white man. Like I said before, I was in a march in 1977. I thought we was doing something. I was in high school. I thought we was doing something. And the Undertaker took me down into the police department in Mullins, South Carolina, population 7,000. And when I went down into the basement of the police department, they got about 25 police. I went in the basement, and they had enough weapons in there to wipe out all of Atlanta. So now you can imagine what Atlanta has. They got enough weapons. If they got population 7,000, Mullins, South Carolina, in the middle of nowhere, they can wipe out all Atlanta. What you think Atlanta got? They got enough to can wipe out Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi. And New York got enough to wipe out the whole half. So when you going up with them with your little pistols, and you done messed around and messed up and done traded in half of them to Toys R Us anyway. So therefore, they done got you on that. That's the reason why they did that. And we're going to show you some other things, too, that came off the spiritual realm. The whole gang warfare and the drive-by shooting was started by the government. We're going to get into that. Now, we're going to get into that, too. So now you coming up with this, you can't win no war like that. He's the master of that game. You don't fight him with that. You above that. So Martin Luther King had it right, but he didn't understand. It didn't mean love your neighbor. It means get on a high spiritual manifestation. So when Jesse Jackson told me we must take the moral high ground, that's the mundane level. This is moral teaching. That don't have nothing to do with nothing. That was for savage people to learn moral teachings. You know right from wrong by 12. And most black people being spiritual, you know right from wrong. You understand? You're born with that. That's your nature, is to be righteous. Because why? Because you're the only people who live with the slave master this much and never rose up against him. That shows humanity within itself. You understand what I'm saying? You tried to this day, you still begging the doggone compromise with him. But right now, it ain't about compromising him. It's about getting him off the planet. And we are at the hour to do this. So now, what we want to do is, once this thing hit in Haiti, we're going to be ready for it because you're going to start doing some things. And if you do this, hopefully, if you do this up till the 19th, we want you to do this from now on. Don't skip a day. White man tell you to be on the job, you be on the job, and if you late, you'll call in. Don't try to skip a day, and if you skip that morning, you try to get it by that night. It's real simple what we're going to do. Now, let's go on to some other things. Number one, the Afrocentric community totally rule out Atlantis and Lemuria or Alchemoria. Why? Because they are interested in proving to white people that the pharaohs are black, and they're not interested in covering the real truth. They already got a tribe in Africa, or a nation in Africa that already can trace their history all the way back to Lemuria. And we talking about a couple of 100,000 years, maybe over 1 million years. Now, Elijah Muhammad said that the creation of the mutant, he said, when I talk about the creation of the white man, I'm talking about the creation of the white man in this 26,000 year history. There's another 26,000 year cycle before that. He said, but the gods can go back to, he said our accurate number is what, 66 trillion years? He said that because we have no birth record. They can't trace it. And we got some other evidence to know that we were civilized millions of years ago. So now he said, but when I talk about the creation of the mutant 6,000 years ago, and that in reference to the Bible, I'm talking about the white man that's on the scene today. He said that there's been other 26,000 years periods, and we know that Atlantis fell. Every time we fell, we created a mutant to take us down down to the lowest point before we fell and rose back up again. But what had happened was that there was a creation of the mutant that is documented also in the book, A.E. Powell's book. They got the book, The Astro Body, one of the must-read books to try to find out more of the astral realms. They talk about the human artificials and the whole nine yards. And they talk about the creation of the mutant by the black magicians of Atlantis. That creation of that particular mutant with the black magicians of Atlantis that they talk about was in Atlantis where this white man was on the scene before. And now I come to find out there's new evidence. I said, well, why would this AWAS fellow, this black god, why would this AWAS fellow come to Aleister Crowley? Why didn't he come to the black people? Well, number one, we know the black people was dumb in 1904. A few of us. He could have came to some of them, but you wouldn't believe nothing that the black man said. Honorable Muhammad wrote the message to the black man. You still don't believe it. You see what I'm saying? So now, he came number one for simple this fact. I just asked a few questions, and they gave me some more. The higher realm said that Aleister Crowley was one of the original priests in Atlantis that created the mutant. He was a black man in Atlantis. And he was one of the original priests that created the mutant. And as a result, he came karmically tied to cleaning up the mess that he had his hand in on. Now, I'm going to get this book to show you this picture. This book of this particular priest in this stela is called, this is a black priest. If you look at him, his name is Akenaton. He was a priest, I think, in the 26th dynasty or one of those dynasties. And this is his stela. Once Aleister Crowley was a 19th century and early 20th century magician, once he got into his particular mystic and his magician, he went and magic in England. He went over to Europe and he came up on this stela or this particular slate, and this particular person was actually him in another time. But then at this time he had become a white boy because he became his own creation. Now, remember, 20% of white people are not white. They're black. They just have white skin. Some of them have blue eyes, but they have the melanin. You understand? 20% of them do have pineal glands that secrete melanin, but this particular is not only, it didn't come as far as the outside, so we got different mutations, but not a total mutant. So now he became his own creation, and this is why when he came back to Kemet in 1904, AWAS gave him the Book of Law. Yeah. Gave him this Book of Law, which is a threefold book of melanin and the breakdown of God, which they got some here for 6 volumes. The Book of Law, which they have some more, which is a threefold book of the Book of Law. The 3rd chapter is talking about the breakdown of the first 2 chapters is the breakdown of the autonomy of the black man and woman. The 3rd chapter is talking about a Christ figure raising up again, which is Heru is supposed to raise up in this particular cycle. Mainly this on the planet now. But this particular book, he gave him this book because he karmically had to redo what he did. This is why the Moors and the Egyptians inducted white people both in the mystery system in Kemet and also went up into Moor to try to give this particular mutant alchemy, to try to give him this particular melanin and create a soul for him, because the melanin is the dark night of the soul. Who does not have the seal? They say in the book of Revelation, they say what? The Solomon seal, except anybody with the seal. If you don't have the seal, you don't have a soul. This is how they can tell whether you are soulless or not. But one drop of black blood, I don't care if you white, bright, and damn near white, you got the actual soul. So this is what he had to do, and this is why they had to induct people into the actual mystery system, to actually redo that right, because we put him on the planet. Now this is information that is by the thousands on this white man being created. Plus we got the archaeological documents in the Temple of Seti I, which I have shown several times. Now, one reason why the Afrocentric community just went dead recently, after they learned the history, they couldn't tell you no more, and the shit just blew up. You understand what I'm saying? After a while, Dr. Ben started sounding redundant. John Henry Clark started sounding redundant, because now remember now, those are our brothers and sisters. They did their job. It was for the next crew to take it on to another level. So now they did their job, so don't look for them to do nothing. Y'all can come on around. Y'all can come on around. Tell them to do nothing. You don't look for them to do anything, because they did that. The first thing was man know thyself. You know your history. But like I said before, if you want in Kemet, it says man know thyself. You already know your history because you live it. You wasn't hit in the head. What does man know thyself mean? Man know that ye are gods. So his first thing is to know the history, then to know the mystery. This is why you got scholars like me, Reverend Valentine, Deborah Blair, Brother Dawood, and a couple of other people started coming on now and started talking about the actual mystery, and now it sounds all crazy. Because remember, truth is stranger than fiction. Now, one of the keys to this whole thing is the Afrocentric community went dead. It almost sounds redundant and almost sounds like intellectual liberation masturbation after a while. I remember I went home, like I said, in 82, my mama said, you've been coming on with this stuff for about 5 years now, and we still ain't free. She said, we still ain't free. She said, I know we was the original people. She said, I knew that when I was a little girl. She said, because you know that system came about 20 years before that. And 20 years before that, it always occurred. But the problem, the reason why it occurred is because we never took it to the other level. Now, the Afrocentric community wants you to return to Africa or wants you to return back to Egypt. But what they didn't realize is this. To return back to Africa and to turn back to the state that you was in Egypt, that was a fallen state. When you first got on the planet, Manetho said that you was 10,000 years of dynastic and pre-dynastic history. They said, who used to rule before then? He said the gods used to rule. And then after the God's chakra center shut down because you got trapped into this third dimension and got separated from the actual other people in Atlantis, the gods, then you had to go into the mystery system and build a mystery system to bring yourself back up to godhood. But that's a fallen state. Even though we do know the fallen state is greater than the state that we're in now. And the white man has never been able to, no other race has never been able to match what we did in our fall. But so unfortunate with John Henry Clark and the rest of them, they give you history during the fall. They say, oh, we know of Atlantis, but we don't have enough stuff on it. No, you don't have enough white man scholarship on it, but if you study the occult, you have all you want. So since we didn't do it, white people started claiming it. Get the Secret Doctrines books. Get the Esoteric, what's the name of that book? The Esoteric Traditions and the Secret Doctrine by Blavatsky. Get those books. Get these other books of the occult. The Isis Unveiled, where they talk about Atlantis and Lemuria. The occult, you say, oh, that's some spooky stuff. The occult means that which is hidden. Or the esoteric. So you studied the exoteric history, and they only took you back to that. Why? Because they were victims of white man scholarship based on, most of those were people in the school system. And they didn't want to be ridiculed by being this spooky way out person by talking about Atlantis and Lemuria and all this particular stuff and spaceships and all this, for the simple fact they had a code that they had to go by. Because remember, Dawood said, even though that's Afrocentric, most of that is Eurocentric. You going by the rules of what the white man telling you should dictate history. Even though they did a great job of knowing that based on archaeology that we're the original people on Earth, but we got millions of years. That's why you know how in the devil we got one man, it's a doggone humped over man, but we got Lucy, Homo sapiens sapiens, that's a couple of million years old. It don't coincide with another person. Right there you got two people on the earth plane. That's one is an animal man and one is God, the actual people. So what had happened was is we tried to go back to Kemet. It's not going to happen for the simple doggone fact that we didn't fall from Kemet. We fell from godhood into Kemet, and then we fell to what we are now dead. So now if the earth has a birthday and goes back to its original form, that means that you got to go back to the original gods, not Kemet. The white man has tried to match most of our civilizations and stuff, and even he's matched it. He's done a bad job of doing it by killing and all this stuff, but he got all the stuff we got. But what I'm trying to say is even all this technology that we marveling over at Kemet, the reason why we didn't have a telephone, because you could close your eyes or you could phone home to anybody you want to phone home to. You didn't need a doggone thing. You see what I'm saying? You didn't need no telephone. You want to call somebody, you just call her. You see what I'm saying? You just call her. And you talk like that. That's why you see on the walls, you don't never see none of them with their mouth open on none of them Egyptian pictures. None of them. Try to look in them. You never see them going, never. You never see any of them with their mouth open. That's because it was a telepathic society, telepathic society. You see what I'm saying? They did everything by mind. Everything. So therefore, you didn't need no doggone spaceship like the man got some tin and all this stuff. You just went to different planets. And the spaceships you see out there are not of some physical spaceship. You see what I'm saying? This is how the kind of science we're dealing with here. Anything you think of in your mind, you can do. And this is the science of the gods. So now what we're trying to get, now it makes sense. Why out of all this time we've been here, none of the economic stuff worked for us. None of all the social stuff that all these other races got worked for us. Seemed like nothing worked for us. Even the homosexual took our civil rights movement and made a bigger movement and made more advances for himself than we did. See what I'm saying? Tip O'Neill, when Tip O'Neill was retiring, they said, well, what you can say about something you can forecast in your whole time or when you was in office? He said, when I was the Speaker of the House, he said, I saw one thing that didn't manifest. He said, I saw the black people who made all the doggone rights in the 60s law. He said, I see every other race raise up on them, including the homosexuals, got more power than black people. Maybe, because we know we always hollering about we don't do this, we don't run business, we don't do this right, we don't do this. It's not made for you to do that. Why? Because you have outgrown that plane. You did that 3,000 years ago. What is meant for you is to become God and God only. Think about it. What is meant to you is to become God and God only. So therefore, nothing else is going to work for you. This is why no economical system or anything you try to do is going to work for you, including going up in some church and listen to a man holler at you for 20 minutes. We're going to get into that today, too. We're going to touch that today, too. Now, I want to go into some things, because we know now that they said that the face on Mars, you got a face on Mars, which is the Sphinx on Mars, and you got a Sphinx here. And they sent the Sidonian Sphinx that you can get Richard Hoagland's book, Monuments on Mars, or they even have the tapes here, set in the same exact circumference as the Sphinx here. And they got them on all the planets. That Sphinx on Mars is approximately 1 million years old, so they know that this particular Sphinx here is 1 million years old, because the last time they carbon dated, before the carbon dating run ran out, was 1 million years ago, was 80,000 years ago. Then they said, we saying it's older than that. They said, but that's what the carbon dating says. They said that it could be older than that. That's when the carbon dating system runs out. It is at least 1 million years old, and because the pyramids is built in the same particular place, we know that that is older. Because if you get Zechariah Stitchen's book, War of God and Man, what the hell going on? Oh, yeah, okay. Somebody do something. If you get Zechariah Stitchen's book, Stairway to Heaven, they show you that Alan H. Gardner, who is a hieroglyphic expert, who gives you the book Egyptian Grammar, says that he has done hieroglyphics readings on the temple, on the pyramids, and said they're older than that, because the pharaohs had a problem. When they get to something they ain't got no name on it, they put their name on it. They say, I got this. Because they know, even if they did, because they got pictures of Ramesses at the temple of Luxor putting his name, Cartouche, over the cartouche of Tutankhamun. So they said it was forged. The reason why they couldn't carbon date it, because we understood that the pyramids used to have white limestone. And they took the white limestone pillar casings off during the time when the Arabs took over to build Cairo. And they got pictures in here of the white limestone casings right here that was on the pyramids. And you can get this book, Secrets of the Great Pyramids by Peter Tompkins. Now, this is the reason why they got problems carbon dating the pyramids, because the stones you were seeing are the blocks that was under it. It was smooth like this. And it had a black capstone. And when the sun used to hit that black capstone, it would shine. That's why it's best to get Earth, Wind, and Fire representation of that in the album cover All in All from 1977, that we know Earth, Wind, and Fire was down on it. Because every last one of them, in the music, and all that, as well as George Clinton, and as well as the OJs, Shipper Hard, all the brothers from the 70s was getting down to that now. So we got a researchers of the music under the underground, and now we got the rappers talking about it. It comes every so many years. But they was dropping the particular knowledge. But you can get the representation of that, plus the temple of Abu Simbel, because everything was painted. You can get the representation of that in the All in All album cover. I got 4 of them. So I got about 10 of all the albums. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So we got that. Now, that black granite that the sun used to hit and shine, that black granite is not found but one place on the planet. The black granite that's on the capstone of Kemet is only found one place in the world, and that is Stone Mountain, Georgia. Stone Mountain, Georgia. This is what the Rosicrucians say. So we know that it was there, and we know that it was there at the time when the earth was one landmass, and we were one people. They said that we're the only planet that got this many doggone races of people. Based on the separation of climate and the breakdown of Atlantis sinking under one continental drift. The planet broke up. So now we know that Kemet was pre-existing along with Atlantis, and it was the one that it survived. Now, that means that we go back to man is nothing but the gods also too. Now, the reason why we don't have to include white people in this, because none of the scripture, when they say love your brother, all men are created equal, they didn't mean a mutant to be a part of that, because if he's a mutant, he's not created equal to you. If he has a calcified pineal gland that cuts him off from God and separates him from the higher ego, that means he's not equal to you. So therefore, when all those scriptures was written, and we wrote them, it wasn't talking about the white man. So then we got a fool like Martin Luther King taking our scriptures and talking about being friends to a damn mutant and getting beat in the head. When those things was written, the white man wasn't even on the planet. So therefore, none of this religion has any damn thing with you going out and loving white people. It was talking, that was written for you. And when you end up loving white people, always go wrong on your thing, you start hating each other. You see what I'm saying? That's too much love to go around. The dog gonna love the enemy and hate your damn self. You see what I'm saying? Now, one other thing before we get into this alien agenda. Well, we going so doggone fast. Yeah, okay.
About 10 minutes.
Okay, good. Come to find out that based on the spiritual plane, I called a sister up. I said, I wanted to know about Gerald Massey. Where's Gerald Massey? I said, because he got in the British Museum and he wrote all the stuff. He told the truth. Because he's one of the few people who look at the scripture and won't even flinch and tell you what time it was. I said he had to been hooked up with the Brotherhood, because some things he wrote is not, I'm quite sure that he had channeled it, and they told him, and so he figured it out when other Egyptologists just couldn't figure it out. Budge was up in there and all he was doing just copying down stuff and couldn't understand things. I said he had to been hooked up with the Brotherhood. They said he was hooked up with the Brotherhood. They said, but we're going to give you another information on them. And I didn't even get to try to, I wasn't even asking for this, and they gave me this. They said, number one, he was a black man. He was a black man that was passive. Gerald Massey, and he went into the British Museum because they weren't going to let no black person in, and he went in and copied down the stuff. And he was a black man that was passive. So now we have that particular science coming from the spiritual realm. Then we understand why, and he has these other big volume books, Book of the Beginning, Natural Genesis, and Ancient Egypt, Light of the World, but you can get his lectures and cover all of it in the lectures because his stuff is linked in. So you can get Gerald Massey lectures that go into all of the science. But one of the things is, they said, but he kind of messed up because before he died, he's supposed to have told the people that he was black, and therefore that great scholar would have been attributed to us and nothing other than white people. But then again, I said no, because this beast, if they'd have found out he's black, they'd have burned up all his stuff, and we wouldn't even got that. So maybe everything works out the way it works out. Now, how much time we got? Because I need to really get into this.
Yeah, about 10 minutes.
About 10 minutes. Now, I need to get into this. What I can do is, well, let's get into something short then. Okay, let me go back here. Okay, because I got some stuff to get in. I'm going to touch on Minister Farrakhan. I'm going to touch on Khalid Muhammad, because these are some things that's got to be known. We're going to get into that today. Now, the white people are saying that they're from Lyra. They're saying that the actual people, Earth was started on Lyra. They said that that everything was seeded from Lyra, but we know that what was seeded from Lyra was, that's just some stuff the white people made up. We know that everything came from Sirius because we know that the original scriptures, whether you go to Quran, whether you go to the book of Coming Forth by Day, and whether you even trace it through the Bible or wherever, it goes back to Sirius. And it goes, even Sirius is a part of the Native Americans, as well as the people as well as the people in the Orient is also, because remember, their calendar is more accurate to the time, even though this is the year 2004, because the calendar is 10 years off of time. Their calendar is most accurate because their calendar has 1998 in China. And they're based on a dog star also, based on the Sophic calendar also. But But we also know this particular thing too. So these white people are trying to front this particular stuff. And I'm going to tell you another thing why you shouldn't mess with no white people also. But I guess I'll get into that when we get back. Also, because see, the white people tried to, telling you, because these white people is on it. They're working with psychic warfare. And we got a message for black media that they got to get on the ball too. They get ready to get taken out if they don't get on the ball. They got to get on the ball. They got to build an altar right up in this damn store that they're going to have this store to last. But we're going to get into that also too. But they're saying they're from Lyra, but we know that the actual Godhead of the 24 elders are seated from Sirius. Look at this, it's coming from the UFO literature. It's coming from a book called UFOs, Friends and Foe, is the name of the book. Friends are foe. And it says that the insectoid powers, they're talking about the inserted powers of the New World Order or the government of your white boys. See, now this is white people talking. Now, let me tell you what they call them insectoid. Now this is what white people are saying. Now look at this. The insectoid powers fears the black race and have kept them subjective and confused, for they hold the key to knowledge. Their genetic clan information is needed to unlock the secrets from the Sirius data. And the segmented data that unites are also carried into the Indian clans, which is Native American and also India, the black India from India. Indian clans, for some of them are originally from the fourth planet in the Sirius star system. And this is a piece coming from the UFO literature, what white people know about you. Okay? I'm going to tell you some other things that happened to me with a group of white witches down in Jacksonville, Florida, also that happened, happened also too. But I guess what we're going to do now, I guess it's time we can go ahead and just break now, because we can go ahead and break. Now, we're going to pass the hat, because we're going to pass the hat. We know this thing was free, but we're not asking you. If you don't have no money, you don't have to pay nothing. But if you got a little something, y'all help me out, because I got rent tomorrow morning. I got rent tomorrow morning, and like I said, I'm a brother here, and I ain't trying to get you to fill out no forms and send me no money each month, or take your food stamps and give to me in the whole 9 yards and stuff. But I'm just a humble brother, but this is all I do now.
You don't have no prayer rag.
Right, and no prayer rag, and no water, and no hot, no thing. Well, I had one brother. So y'all, look here, I need anything y'all can give me. Y'all dig deep and give me some stuff, because I need rent tomorrow morning, and I ain't got jack shit. So y'all can give me some stuff. Otherwise, y'all might see me out there with a little cup and stuff on the or running up to y'all with a little drag, talking about I want to wash your windshield in the whole 9 yards. So y'all pass the hat, and whatever y'all want to give and stuff, give, like we say, the preacher thing, if the music is good and if the saying is good, then if I'm giving you some good knowledge, then give out your heart good, dig deep, or whatever you want to do. We take it all. Anything you can get. And stuff. Anything you can get. Just put it in there and all. If you need another hat, whatever, you all just do that. And y'all pass that around. But y'all make sure that y'all give a little something or whatever y'all want to do.
So you give it back.
That's right. Now y'all, I know it's hot, but look, y'all need to stay to this here, because this is getting ready to get very hot in a few minutes. Now I got the actual thing on this. That's thing. You had the book. You have to spend the book. I don't know what page it is. I gotta look it up. But it's in there. Look, it's got an index in the back. And you got like 3 numbers on the 3 pages on Sirius, so it's going to